Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about more Resident Evil rumors and a new extraction shooter that is actually doing big numbers. It's going to be a good one because we have Jason Fanelli on the show. Jason, how are you doing?
I am doing well after a weekend of being on dad duty. My wife was out of town for the weekend, so it was just
Oh,
me and
yeah.
the girls hanging out doing the thing. Now that I've gotten two of the three big reviews out of the way on Friday, both my Digimon Story, Time Stranger, and Ghost of Yote reviews went up on their respective websites. So sleep has been a premium lately.
Oh, yeah.
I can also say that I am playing The Outer Worlds 2 for review, and that's all I can say about that.
Yeah, I got that. I
That'll
got
be
that
up.
one as well. We should talk.
Yeah, it'll be up later this week. So yeah, just doing the freelance heavy release thing and trying to keep my eyes open at every possible venture. How about you, pal?
Yeah, I'm leaving on Saturday to go to New Jersey to get ready for the Bombathon. So this past weekend I had to take care of both, making sure stuff in life is good as well as making sure I'm ready for that trip. I spent a day making sure I had a USB stick filled with various video games and various emulation software and stuff like that. So it was great to get ready for that and be like, okay, now we're on top of stuff. Once we're there, we'll have a day of setup and things like that. But it's that'll make it that much easier. And it was fun to come up with some ideas for some weird stuff we're going to be doing in the middle of the night for the Bombathon. Again, everybody, that's next week, so be ready for it. 24 hours, Monday, Tuesday, 5 p.m. We start on Monday at 5 p.m. So don't miss out on that. But yeah, that was took up my whole Sunday, honestly. So I kind of put on the hockey game and just did that, and it was a good time. But it was also oh man, huh? I'm glad I did it now. I would not have had time to do that during the week. So yeah, I'm feeling you on almost no time. And then when I do have a couple of free minutes, I am playing 4 or 5 different games I want to get my hands on. So the busy season continues to be busy. Did you get a chance to play Keeper at all? I want to get more people's opinion on that.
No, that actually is next on my list after I have nothing to review, which unfortunately I already have code for my follow-up to Outer Worlds 2, so I don't know when that's going to be. But no, that one very much on my radar because it sounds like it's Double Fine weirdness taking on a nonverbal Journey Sword of the Sea situation. And that seems very much like my shit. So I think I'm going to try and prioritize that. I imagine it's not very long then. Maybe 5-6 hours at top, at most. I don't know. So yeah, it's definitely on my radar. I definitely want to try and get that in before the end of the year, but it keeps getting pushed down the ever increasing backlog list to make priority for games that I'm actually reviewing.
Yeah, I'm I want to get people on here and tell me yeah, here are my concerns. I played a few hours and I was I get everything that it's going for in terms of the silent storytelling and the beautiful visuals and all that stuff is super working. I'm just not enjoying anything I'm doing with this lighthouse character. Does that change? Does it improve? Does it get more complicated? And I kind of need someone to be yeah, sure, or no, it's okay to let this one go.
Sure.
I for as much as I enjoy looking at it, there's a lot of games I enjoy looking at right now that are also super engaging for me personally. So it's we'll see about Keeper. All right, let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb, video game doofuses. We and Bacalar, he's not a doofus. And then we're also independent games media out here on our own, doing our thing with your help. So go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member, and become part of that help and ensure that we can continue doing cool things like the Bombathon next week, like Game of the Year stuff, like Summer Game Fest, like GB at night. And recently we started doing This Is the Run again, where we're putting up the individual runs as archived on the premium site, so you can check that out there. If you want to catch it live, it's going to be free live when we do the run, of course. So just been some practice stuff so far. Probably get another one of those in today. At least I'm going to try, although I have a couple things getting in the way, so we'll see. All right, let's see here. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Resident Evil Zero remake rumors yet again. This is from Ollie Reynolds at Nintendo Life. Rumors regarding a potential remake of Resident Evil Zero have been simmering for a little while now, but a new report from MP First, via Pure Xbox here, has added further fuel to the fire. The remake is supposedly real and currently operating under the codename Chamber, which is presumably a blatant reference to protagonist Rebecca Chambers. Voice and performance capture work had reportedly begun in 2024, with Guardians of the Galaxy actor John McLaren taking on a key role. McLaren's resume, don't get too excited back there, Jan. McLaren's resume makes reference to a lead role in Project Chamber, upcoming AAA video game, with Beyond Capture Studios, which has also worked with Capcom on Resident Evil 4 Remake and Street Fighter 6. While not a definitive lead at this time, it seems possible that McLaren may be taking on the role of Resident Evil Zero's Billy Cohen. Obviously, like we've heard a bunch of times, Dust Golem came out and was like, and this is the person that is often involved in Capcom rumors, especially Resident Evil rumors, saying, yeah, this is true. Who knows? You know, that stuff is always hard to pin down, whether or not they're just jumping on the bandwagon or actually no. But the basically the timing here worked out to, like, this would be the 2028 game, and yet Code Veronica might be the one that still comes out first in 2027. We talked about these rumors a lot. I think this is starting to solidify. I'm really starting to believe them. I'm also believing the rumor that is part of this. I think this one does come from Dust Golem, that Resident Evil 5 stuff is not happening at all. Like, they don't even have a plan for what they're going to do or if they're going to do Resident Evil 5. So all of that sounds right to me, and I would expect to see Code Veronica the year after next. How about you?
Yeah, that makes... Honestly, once the success of Resident Evil 2 Remake came out in 2019, I fully expected all of these older games in that, like, PlayStation, GameCube window of time to get remade at some point, right? So you had RE2, RE3. If Code Veronica is happening next, technically, that should be it, because people have been asking for that game for literal decades, I think, at this point. So Zero falling into that as well will be interesting. Zero has the potential, based on what I remember from when it originally came out, to be the most improved, if you lay all these remakes out, of that era. I remember Zero being very polarizing for the fact that you switched between characters, but the other character was still live, for lack of a better term. So if you switched from Rebecca to Billy while she's being attacked by a zombie, first, why would you do that? And secondly, she'll still die. Right. So I wonder if that will play in at all. I wonder if that's going to happen. I don't know. I like that it's happening. I think I'm with you that I'm starting to believe that they're going to go through all of these older games at some point. And it also kind of makes sense that RE5 has nothing on the table, because that one, a little... What's the word I'm looking for? Challenging in a general content setting. As much as I would love to hear Wesker yell Chris in 4K at the end of that game, there are some things in there that in this current day and age might be seen as a little touchy.
I mean, it's going to require a deft hand for sure, no matter what they do with that thing. Yeah.
Yes. So that one, it's going to take a light step. Yes. But RE0 makes a lot of sense. Code Veronica right before it, if that's the plan, makes sense as well. Keeping they're basically one Resident Evil a year now, are they not? Did one come out this year?
No, but they are on average. They're pretty close to one, like every 16 months, right? Yeah, that feels
that sounds right. Yeah, and that's a good tick for if they have enough studios working on it, they can keep them coming out and keep them, good. Like RE2 was great. RE3 not as good, but still good. RE4 was incredible. Requiem shaping up to be amazing. I hope Remake and Code Veronica fit into that too, or Zero, excuse me, and Code Veronica fit into that too. Now, will they go back to the original game well after they already did that in the GameCube era? That seems to be a weird question too. Like, do you remake the remake? Do you completely start from scratch? I don't know how you would take that one either, but I like it. I like that they're doing this. I like that they found a way to balance the classics with the new games to find ways to appeal to everyone. And it just, other than, as Jan and I were talking about before the show, other than their live panels and their Nintendo Direct style videos, Capcom continues to crush it. That's like the only weird blemish, that their directs have make no sense, and that their panels could have been an email, like the New York Comic Con panel that I specifically went up for just in case. It was just them playing their demos that were on the floor for 2 hours. I'm like, all right, guys, really? What are we doing here? But it was fun. Whatever.
Yep. Everyone else like treats those things as big deals, and Capcom's just like, we have games to sell you. I say, all right, yeah, we get it, but like, maybe put a little flavor in here. Everyone's paying attention. They're like, we don't care. We have games to sell you. So good for Capcom. All right, let's keep going here. Next Halo game may be like Fortnite with live service. There's a lot in this story. Let's go for it. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. Halo fans are eagerly awaiting the Halo World Championships later this week, where new details about the next Halo game will be revealed. Now, a new report suggests that there are actually 2 Halo games coming in 2026 for the franchise's 25th anniversary, and one of those titles may be a live service game, according to Rebs Gaming, who has a record here of leaking stuff related to Halo. Halo Studios is working on a, quote, live service long-term updating Halo multiplayer game, before adding, its live service component is like Fortnite. The report didn't offer any other specifics about the gameplay, but went on to add some comments about the way AI is used in the game's creation, and we'll get to that in just a second.
One thing at a time.
Let's do one at a time. So this idea that it's like Fortnite, I think what they are saying and what they mean here, or what that is intended to mean in this day and age, is that the game will be like one map, or a map that is like constantly updating, or if it's live service in some other way, it's going to be a game that feels like it's constantly changing and has seasons, and that's what will make it like Fortnite, although I'm sure we'll also have crazy skins and stuff like that.
Sure.
Does that sound right to you? I think that's probably what's happening here.
That makes a lot more sense than them just chasing the usual live service gold mine that everybody else wants to chase. Right. Honestly, when I first read this headline and I first read this article, when I heard Fortnite, I thought of building, right? And a small part of me, a very small part of me, was hoping that it was a standalone Forge.
Oh,
because
sure.
That, to me, sounds like it could be fun for Halo fans and non-Halo fans. Like, you go in, you build your own multiplayer maps, be they 4v4 or big team battle or what have you, and then you share them with everybody, and and that's your multiplayer. It's like I don't want to say the R word on these waves. We know how I feel about it, but it's sort of like that. You build your own maps, you pick the modes that are eligible on those maps, and then you set it out. That could work. Honestly,
he means Roblox. Everybody, don't freak
damn
out.
It! No, but don't like. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Whoops.
Welcome to the show, Jason Fanelli.
That's how innocent I am. That's not even the first. That's like the third R word I thought of.
Right.
But yeah. So make a Forge standalone and let people build maps and play on them. That makes a lot of sense, I think. But if it's a changing map, which is kind of what Infinite sort of was, right? It was one. I haven't played the campaign, but it was one big map where all your different objectives were all over the place. So they kind of have that foundation already sitting there. So
it was unfulfilled potential too, because my understanding is maybe there was once an intention to do exactly this with Halo Infinite, but their tools were too cumbersome, too slow. They couldn't get enough content out fast enough to really make that whole concept of Halo with a Fortnite update cadence to actually work. They were like very far away from that, actually. So now that they are switching to Unreal, specifically probably to solve this problem, they're like, well, we had all these ideas, all these intentions to do that with the last Halo. Let's actually go through with it this time, because now we have the tools to pull it off. I see that being like their choice of strategy here. Whether or not that's what Halo needs, I mean, who knows? It's like you told me a month ago, 3 months ago, hey, can another extraction shooter ever work? And we're about to get to another story here that says absolutely it can. You just have to have the right combination of factors. And Marathon doesn't for some reason, but Arc Raiders seems to. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Let's hit this other thing. The generative AI is apparently woven into every aspect of development, such as enemy AI and terrain generation. I think what they're mostly doing is that and then touching up the work with human hands. Also, developers are expected to meet similar or quicker deadlines, and the only means to do so is through the use of AI, whether that's mundane tasks like scheduling things or writing emails, all the way up to actual game development. So there's a lot in here. Jess Corden came out and it's like they're not really using generative AI for art or whatever, but they're probably using it to like answer emails or something like that. I don't know. I would imagine that Microsoft's gung-ho nature about AI probably has led to some tools being investigated specifically for a franchise like Halo that they are trying to keep around, but also probably trying to make a little bit cheaper than they've ever made before. And I think they think AI is the realistic answer to that. I'm people do not like this news. This popped off and this had a lot of backlash, Jason, and I think rightfully so because we've seen it so many times now. When something is AI, if I see an AI video on YouTube, it really is always filled with mistakes. It sounds generic. It's bad. Is that what we should be expecting from a game like Halo going forward? Because they're trying to make it on the cheap with AI. I don't know. What do you think?
Any other company, I would say, give them the benefit of the doubt and let's see what this reveal looks like. But with a company who has been pushing Copilot in all of its apps,
Yeah,
with the company that tries to find synergy with all of its brands to the point where people were shocked to see Teams on a handheld that recently came out. That one of the funniest controversies I think I've seen in a very long time. If you didn't expect that, I have a bridge to sell you. I am worried. I am worried because that initial teaser that came out, those couple screens, there were already people saying, this looks like it could be AI generated. And now hearing this the week before these reveals are supposed to happen,
yeah.
I'm worried. I want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. When it comes out, I hope it's just something that was blown out of proportion. Or as somebody pointed out in chat, maybe they are misinterpreting Speed Tree to be AI.
That's always a possibility. Always a
even though that's something completely different, right? Yep. And that's why Jez comes out and says, well, it's not as bad as you think it is. It's blown out of proportion, what have you. But I really want this to be good. I want Halo to get as the article mentions, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster treatment, where it's just a completely remade game, and it's everything that we loved before, but with so much more and so much. That's what I want. I don't want generative AI anywhere near this. And the closer we get, the more reports that come out, debunked or not, or supposedly debunked or not, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, like Jez did come out and like say that this is not really the fear that people had was not really justified here. But I want to be like clear that I think if a developer at Halo Studios came to Microsoft and said, I developed a tool to do a lot of this work with AI, Microsoft would not say no to that.
No, of course not. No.
They would absolutely not say no to that. So what is like, are we saying that the only thing really holding this back is the developers don't want to do it? And I think that's probably likely. It's probably likely, but I don't think it's a guarantee either. So I just a bridge to sell you. Yeah, that sort of thing again. Like I think it's inevitable in certain cases that it's going to creep into games in more and more obvious ways. And if that blows back on them, well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a quick break. We got plenty more to get into, but we are gonna go to a sponsor. If you want to skip out on these, you go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. It gets you a ad-free version of the video show, ad-free version of the audio show. Go get those, skip out on them. In the meantime, we'll be right back. All right, we're back. It's Game Mess Mornings. Jason Fanelli, Jeff Grubb. We're still doing the thing. Let's talk about Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders servers test put up some huge numbers on Steam. This is from Haley Williams at GameSpot. Embark Studios' Server Slam playtest for Arc Raiders was a runaway success, with the extraction shooter putting up some huge player numbers on Steam ahead of its official release. The playtest peaked at 189,668 concurrent players and stayed in the top 10 most played Steam games all weekend. The weekend's open playtest was designed as a stress test for the game's servers ahead of its official release on October 30th, and it looks like the studio got what it was looking for. The test involved just one map, the Dam Battleground, and allowed players to try out the game's progression, crafting, and quest mechanics. Arc Raiders is being developed by Embark Studios, blah, blah, blah. It's due out like next week, something like that. It's $40.
30th, yep.
Yep, the 30th. There we go, and it's $40. Um, so not a free to play game, but still, neither was Battlefield 6, and it had a similar sort of response, a similar, I think that was bigger, but this one came out of nowhere for a lot of people, I think, although it's been building steam for a few years now. So seeing this is an indication that it really is going to be another big hit. And to me, it's like I do feel confused, Jason. Like, okay, so we're not exactly against extraction shooters in general, which obviously we are not, because there are a ton of people playing those games, especially some of the ones that have been in that space for a long time now. But I did think there would always be a struggle for any new one of these, but somehow Arc Raiders has the magic sauce. Do you have any idea what is happening here? Why people are giving this one a chance, where they seem to be a lot more skeptical of Marathon?
I'm genuinely curious if the finals has anything to do with it, right? Because
Yep.
Embark Studios makes the finals, and I'm sure they've been advertising or putting little things for the players who are
Sure.
still playing the finals to this day. That has a decent, I'm not going to say it's humongous, but a decent following even now. It's been out for a couple of years. And I'm wondering if a lot of these people are just people who trust them with the finals and are saying, all right, let's see what else you got. Right. The name Patrick Soderlund does hold some weight for people who have been playing for a very long time. Former Battlefield executive as well, who is at Embark. I wonder if word of mouth, or if the fact that it's been teased now 2 years, I think it's been since its first initial reveal, and
Right.
they've been hyping it up for that long. It seems like they figured out the formula here. Whatever that formula is, we're still trying to piece it together. Maybe it's the fact that now also too, it's one map, right? The Damn Battleground, which is a great name for a map in any game, because if you're mad, that damn Battleground. So let's see what happens on Thursday, or a week from Thursday, when it actually launches, right?
Yeah.
If there's server issues, if there's if this many people show up and stay, I think that is the biggest factor. Even if 200,000 people sign in on the first day and 10% of them hang on for a month, I think that's successful. Something you can build on, and you can gradually bring the people who are in and out back once in a while for an event here and there, or something like that. They're looking to build that foundation, I think. And this seems like they're in the right direction, because almost 200,000 concurrent players, nothing to sneeze at in this day and age for any game whatsoever. I think it's more longevity that is the challenge once the game launches, and it's going to require, unfortunately, a near spotless launch. So if when they add all the other things, when they completely open the servers, if they're able to avoid timeouts and lag and stuff like that, keep things streamlined and let people play it as it's envisioned, we could be looking at another big hit here.
Yep, and I do think it's as simple as some people in chat pointed out, like, oh, what's the difference between this and Marathon or a handful of other ones? This game just seems good. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to play. They got the loop right. It has a strong visual style, as well as just a grasp on what it's trying to make the player feel. And people are going to know really quickly whether this game is for them or not, but it probably is winning over more people that thought, I don't like these kinds of games. It's like, well, no, you know what? Sometimes I do, when it's just this fun the entire time. So yeah, I think Arc Raiders is going to have it's going to pop off. And then you're right. I mean, the longevity thing, trying to keep these things going for years and years and years, obviously that's the goal. I hope that when a studio, a publisher, an investment firm, whatever, takes on this sort of game with live service potential, I really hope Fortnite isn't like the expectation. I hope it is like, okay, maybe we settle in at 10,000 concurrent players on Steam. Like, let's build a business around that. And you absolutely can build a business around that. You just have to kind of know beforehand and kind of keep things, but Embark is a big studio. That's the thing. They need to actually be big. I remember when they got started, before the finals was even mentioned, and it was just Arc Raiders, like something like 250 people right out of the gate they had hired. And it's like, oh, that's a massive studio. So now they do seem like they have the potential to make something like Arc Raiders that could be on the top of Steam, in the top 20 of Steam for years and years. But yeah, they'll have to maintain that, and that'll come down to what you said, kind of a spotless thing where it's like everything goes right and they don't drive people away, because there are more options than ever, and that's the thing. as we get new options like Battlefield 6, it's not like Fortnite's going away or even Apex Legends. All these other things continue just to hum in the background as things where like, oh, when you do get frustrated with your new current game, these other ones are going to be waiting in the wings to take you back. And it's like, oh, were these just flavors of the month? And that's a possibility as well. And we'll kind of have to see how that plays out.
And it's equally true in this case with the $40 entry fee, right? Nothing wrong with charging a premium for your game. Nothing wrong with that at all. But it just puts more of the onus on you to make sure that that game is running spotless when you launch. Because say, hypothetically, you have a group of 4 friends who play shooters all the time. One of them takes the dive and tries to experiment with Arc Raiders just to see what's going on. If that game is running flawlessly and he's having a ton of fun, he goes back, he get 3 more sales. If it's not, if it's having issues, he goes back and says either wait or no, and then those 3 guys never buy in. So I think having this server slam makes sense. If they can get to that amount of players on day one and things are running as flawlessly or as good as they were in this test, clearly, I think they have a formula here. Let's see if it plays out.
Yep. And chat's pointing out that as with all these studios now, that this one seems to be using AI for some stuff, and of course they are. 250 people, but not 251 to do that last job. Let's just get AI. Okay, let's continue on here. Donkey Kong Bananza will feature monthly in-game events with DLC. This is from My Nintendo News. Starting October 28th, Donkey Kong Bananza will feature monthly in-game events on Nintendo Switch 2. Players who own the paid DLC DK Island plus Emerald Rush and have finished the main game story can participate in limited time events to earn exclusive in-game statues. During each event period, players can tackle a special Emerald Rush challenge that shakes up the usual formula by setting some fixed conditions, such as the emerald perks they can obtain from fossils and Banandium gems. When selecting an emerald perk from the 3 choices, the options presented to players will remain the same during each run. The specifics of this are fine. I have been meaning to try out Emerald Rush. I still have not. I downloaded, I bought that DLC. I'm more like wondering, is this Nintendo's new strategy for a slightly longer term engagement? Because last generation, Jason, I would describe it as let's hold back some content. Let's hold back some stuff and put it out over. And like that, I think the sports games were the guiltiest of taking advantage and kind of not understanding the strategy to the point where it's like we kind of just want a lot of these characters early on. We're not, and people are not necessarily going to come back to check it out because now I can finally play as Daisy and Strikers. They're going to be a little frustrated and just put the game away because they couldn't play as Daisy right away. And Nintendo did it over and over again. I think they thought this is something that does make it feel like a longer term value. It reduces the likelihood that people will turn in their game or sell it on the secondhand market or something like that. And I don't think it ever worked. I think it was mostly just kind of a frustrating thing, and it didn't make the games feel all that much more valuable. This feels different. This feels like, I don't think this is some huge, awesome, amazing, mind-blowing new thing, but as an alternative to holding back content, the idea of making the games feel a little bit more alive, making it feel connected to other players, like, oh, we're all going to be doing this same run and this same thing. I think that's pretty cool, except for where it seems like it is just locked down to people who bought the DLC. It's like, okay, that's, this is the kind of thing where I want it to feel vibrant and alive, and like everyone has the chance to do this. And I don't think that DLC was all that successful, but maybe that's just me like reading into this incorrectly. What do you think, Jason?
Well, I think they got at least 2 sales from schlubs who buy everything and then don't play it. So they got at least 2 of us.
All over that, yes.
But the problem is it's giving live service vibes, but with a marked expiration point. And by that I mean you're going for statues. There's only so many characters you can make statues of. There's only so many maps in the game that you could keep doing these on before people start to get tired of it. DK Island is fine. That's a brand new one for Emerald Rush map, and you can do Emerald Rushes on every other layer in the game, but there's only so many layers, right? You know what I'm getting from it? Spirits from Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Oh, sure.
Where every once in a while, they would put new spirits in with new spirit challenges, and you would get that spirit for the spirit modes that nobody played except for me. And after a while, they just hit an endpoint where they were like, we're done, no more spirits. And then they revived it randomly for like a year, and then it went away again, and now it's
Right.
gone. So if it's something like that, where every month there's like, hey, here's a themed thing, or like, hey, we're doing this one's all about Donkey Kong Country 3. Here's your Kitty Kong statue, and everyone rushes to buy it because that's the best one, right? I'm kidding. Dear God, I'm kidding. Just to get it, just to be clear. But I like the approach. I don't mind the approach. It's if it's them dipping their toe into live service while being very much Nintendo. This is Nintendo live service. This weird ass company that we all love doing weird things again. And we'll see how long it lasts. I give it a year. I think
Yeah.
a year from the DLC's launch, or sorry, from this first event until October 28th of next year, this time next year, and then it'll be done.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I think that I think the spirits connection is correct. I also think people point out, reminds me of Salmon Run. Someone said it's like, oh yeah, they've done this
Oh
in
yeah,
multiplayer games before, games that have online components, things where people are already going to be spending a lot of time. They're like, add this in there as a little extra peppering on top. And it's like I hope that they did like say, okay, let's take this concept and apply it to our single player games. And this feels like a half step, because you're right, it does have an obvious like end point where they kind of can't, or they would just have to start recycling things again, and it will be inherently less exciting, as opposed to like there are single player games that have made this model work. And I think of Hitman, where it's like, oh, they have elusive targets, and they have sort of a playground where players can create their own stuff, and the developers can surface that and say, hey, here's a cool collection of things that are based on a theme. Go ahead and try that. And it's like, well, obviously that game is made with that concept in mind, and it sort of like feeds into itself, and they can do more now that they have more community content, or they can do or justify doing more of their own development because they have this live service thing that they can apply it to. And Donkey Kong does not feel made for this in any real way. And I
no,
wonder if Nintendo will sort of maybe begin building their games in a slightly different way so that they can cater this if it's that important to them, because it doesn't feel that important. It feels like the kind of thing they're like, let's just slap this on there as something we can point to the continued value of this game, so it can kind of stay in people's minds. And that's about as serious as I think they're taking it. What do you say?
sure. Somebody in chat makes a great point too. They got it right with Splatfests. That's the
Yeah.
best they've done so
Oh
far.
yeah,
And
for
this
sure. The
seems like,
multiplayer games, absolutely.
yeah, this seems like a half step, right? This
Yeah.
seems like them trying to do the same thing for a single player game. And as a first attempt, it's, rough around the edges,
Yeah.
which to be
Exactly.
expected. I don't hate it. I think I understand where they're going from. Do I think it has the longevity of a Splatfest or a Salmon Run? No, absolutely not. But it's Nintendo experimenting, and then they'll try something new. Maybe they'll perfect it by the time the 3D Mario comes out. And Bonanza was always going to be the testing ground for the next Mario 3D adventure from that studio in every facet. In this case, it's destruction and this live service, not live service thing. And then whatever Mario wants to do, we'll see the end results of those experiments.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's continue on. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 will tighten its story because players, quote, have too much to do. This is from Darren Bontheus at GameSpot. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 co-director Naoki Hamaguchi has responded to criticism about the pacing of the first two games in the trilogy, addressing fan complaints of certain sections in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth being too long. Hamaguchi said that the development team was striking a balance with regard to overall pacing for the upcoming threequel. While Hamaguchi felt these segments were as long as they needed to be for the game, he did acknowledge that modern day Final Fantasy fans are currently spoiled for choices when it comes to video games. Regarding time management in certain sections, especially in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I honestly don't believe that they were longer than necessary, Hamaguchi said to Screen Rant. I feel like nowadays players just have too much to do and too much to play, so they often feel the urge that something has to be concluded quickly. As we work on the conclusion to the trilogy, we are striking a balance on how story arcs are told and spread out, so as to ensure that the game feels a bit more concise. I think that's that outward pressure of stuff like TikTok and sure, yeah, other games, and maybe they want to get back to Final Fantasy 14. Do you think this is something developers do need to be mindful of, and do you think they're making the right choice here?
I I think that the collective attention span is something that is worth considering, but I also think at the same time that there are people who will appreciate a more long a longer approach. I do agree. I loved Rebirth. I am a Rebirth apologist, but here's the problem. I loved playing it. I now appreciate it even more after having now beat it and watched multiple video essays digging into the plot and the story and things that may not be as obvious that maybe should have been. Now, granted, it is the middle game of a trilogy. It is The Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
So there are things in this game that are not going to make sense until you roll credits in game 3. We're kind of seeing that play out, I think. Do I agree that the third game needs to be more concise? Abso-fucking-lutely. That, as much as I enjoy it, it took me, no joke, 11 months to finally sit down and get through the whole thing. And Christmas break was when I did the majority of that. I think that, and also too, I don't know, actually, they're only at the end of disc 1, aren't they? Or just after the end of disc 1 in the original game. Oh boy, they have a lot more story to tell, don't they? But I really think, I like the idea of I think the main story can be more concise. You can add all the extra stuff you want. I also think too that they're going to be benefit from the fact that most of the technical part of part 3, if I had to guess, was Rebirth.
Yeah.
They're just building on, they don't have to build for a new console anymore.
Right.
They don't have that hurdle anymore. So they have a lot of the technical stuff and a lot of the art and all that stuff already there. Now they just have to tinker with what's there, add whatever they feel needs to be added. Like, I think Gold Saucer is going to be very similar in the third game if it comes back. I think that the Queen's Blood is going to be very similar. You don't have to build those again. You can add to them, but they're already there. And now they can focus on the core story, and maybe, like, if they do a snowboarding thing, since that was in the original game, 1 or 2 mini games here or there, majority are there. I think once part 3 is out, part 2 will be more, I don't want to say more appreciated. I think the people who like it really like it. It'll make more sense why they went this way. And I am willing to wait for that. I understand the shortcomings. I understand the misgivings. I do think part 3's main story would do to be maybe 10 chapters instead of 18, perhaps, something like that. But I definitely agree that players have too much to do. And that mostly applies to outside of video games. But yeah, tighten that up so I can spend 60 hours instead of 80 and I'll be a happy guy.
Yeah, part of me feels like this is the kind of thing where I think he's like internalizing justifications for doing something that they probably think they should do anyway. It's tough because it's not like it's a universal criticism that the last game had too many side quests. A lot of people really loved everything that they were doing in the game, and loved the length, and was like, hey, this is all kind of just, that's a clean read, Sean. There you go. Love the length. There's people were like, no, I like spending time in this world, and this gives me a lot of reasons to do that. And then, of course, there were some people like, oh, this game is going on and on and on. So it's like there's a conversation there. And I think that they're like, well, we did just do like the really long one. We do have an opportunity to like do something different with this next one. And at the same time, people do have a lot to do with their time. I think it's like they already were going to do this. And that provides just another sort of like straw on the camel's back to convince them that they're making the right choice of doing something slightly more edited, slightly more concise this time around. And the second game will continue to be there. That's the thing with this trilogy now, is it's going to be like the Final Fantasy VII for a very long time, because that's just the way games are going to work now, where 10 years from now, it's not going to feel out of date in any real way. So I think having like building a sort of playlist style thing, where I went to a GDC talk once where it was one of Platinum's designers being like, I make level design the way like you make a mixtape, where it's like you want to come in strong, then you want to get stronger, and then here's the cool off track, here's the cool off level. And I think like there's something to be said for being like, we know there's 3 games in this trilogy. We did something with the first one. The second one went in a different way and offered a lot more in this other direction. Now let's like pull things back down and sort of pull people's focus towards this, like what we want them to feel very specifically about this story. And to me, that sounds like really strong, like design and directorial like vision. And
Sure.
I think that's probably the real motivating thing here. And I really think there's a strong chance that they'll like bring this home in a really good way because they are being mindful of these things, even if they are being like, oh, it's because of TikTok or other games. And I really don't think that's what's going to happen here. We still d- don't really have a good idea of when this is coming out, right? Do you have your finger on that pulse at all?
I have a guess. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
right or not. I think
What do you
first
think?
reveal is coming at the Keeleys in December, and I think that they're going to be same time frame. February is when the Rebirth came out, but 27. And the reason for that is there were 4 years between Remake and Rebirth, and that
Yep.
was with the changing of developers from CyberConnect 2 to Square Internal and all that stuff. They then took the Remake foundation and built Rebirth, and now they have less to build, I think, from
I
Rebirth
think you're
and
right.
insert part 3, R word here, reunion is my guess, by the way. And now 2027, again, February, March, April is where I think it will happen. You'll reveal it at the Keeleys. You'll have a whole year of marketing, and then press again at the Keeleys in 2026, and then off you go.
That sounds right. Yep. 30th anniversary. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, then let's keep going here. Xbox president reconfirms next gen Xbox hardware is in development. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. Next gen Xbox hardware is currently in the works behind closed doors at Microsoft. Xbox president Sarah Bond has reconfirmed that the company has new consoles internally in the pipeline days after the launch of the ROG Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X, created in collaboration with Asus. Speaking with Variety, Bond left no doubt about Xbox's hardware plans. We are 100% looking at making things in the future. We have our next gen hardware in development, said Bond. We've been looking at prototyping, designing. We have a partnership we've announced with AMD around it, so that is coming. And of course it's coming. Like they've already made plans. They've already put like deals into place. Things where it's like they're going to have deliverables in a handful of years, and the people making those choices now are going to be on the hook for making sure they actually can actually sell this hardware once it's here. So they need people to like feel good about it and be like, no, we have a strong future. I do think one will come out, and I do think the people that are responsible for Xbox in this moment are serious about that. I just don't know how like steady their footing is. I don't know how sure the floor is underneath them, where it's like, oh, if Satya Nadella comes and knocks that out, like anything could happen,
Yeah.
including this next Xbox actually never does come out, but maybe more likely it comes out in a very reduced and minimal way that is almost just feels like, oh, another PC came out. Are those fears founded, do you think?
Absolutely. Because they have done nothing to give you any confidence whatsoever, especially with their most recent release.
Yeah.
And the problem isn't the tech, right? The Ally X, by all accounts, is with the exception of poor Dan Reichert's video of trying to get the keyboard to come up.
That happens to me on the original Asus ROG Xbox, or Ally,
listen,
not the Xbox One. Windows is terrible, continues to be terrible, but go ahead.
listen, quick aside, ever since the Ally X came out, my Legion Go S has worked so much better. Like the keyboard comes up every time. I don't know how they did that, but anyway, I think price is the biggest issue here. You can put all the tech in the world in this thing, but where are you going to launch it now with all of the cost increase that you've done? The handheld comes out of $1,000. At this point, you released an Xbox fridge. At the price you're going to want to charge for this thing, it better be an Xbox and a fridge. Like, you better have some cold storage in there for me to put some soda or some beer or whatever while I'm playing this console. Because we're got to be looking at $1,100, $1,200, right? And both companies want to release in 2027. Last I checked, Tariff Man is still in office in 2027. So I don't think these current issues will be going away.
No, they won't be. Yep.
So
it'll just keep getting worse.
What are you doing? What you need to delay, both companies need to delay their new consoles and just tread water until whatever happens next, 2028, 2029, whatever that looks like, because the tariffs are not going away. So these price increases are not going away anytime soon, which means any new products, as the Ally X proved, are going to be more expensive because they're new. and just continue to price out the people who want to play the games the most. I think it was you and Matt Piscatella had a back and forth either on here or on Blue Sky or something like that about how the reason the prices are going up is because the people with the most disposable income have more disposable income than the people who
They're
want
the only ones spending. Yeah, the top 10%
Right.
of earners. So that's $250,000 per family. That's the only people actually spending money, but they are spending money. So when the economy
Yes.
looks good on those average numbers, it's good because that group of that 10% of people and everyone else is just scraping by and not spending money because they don't have anything.
Exactly. And I think that is just a ticking time bomb for game consoles in particular, especially brand new ones. If they come out and say, remember when we all thought $599 was hysterical?
Yeah.
We memed that bastard all the way to hell and back, and now we are praying to hear those numbers
Yeah,
in this next cycle.
That would be a deal.
Wild.
Let me ask you something. Do you think that there are any games at Microsoft or even Sony being developed today that are being developed to be exclusive for the PS6 or the next Xbox?
God, I hope not. Do I think there are? Yes. I think they're in
I don't
maybe.
think there should be. Not.
I don't think there should be either, but I think there are.
Yeah.
I think they're concepting or beginning stages because we're 2 years out from where they would want to launch it, right? November of 2020 is when the last consoles came out, and we're approaching 2 years away from 2027 when they want to come out. So there has to be something going on with whatever that tech looks like. I don't think there should be. Again, I think they should be focusing on maybe, I don't want to say a Pro 2, because what does that price look like? It's just every angle you look at this, new hardware is a bad idea. You should be focusing on software and getting the software sales up and making people want to buy what's already here and play the good games that are there, which in Xbox's case, they've already pivoted to their strategy being everything's an Xbox. So have they already shot themselves in the foot and they're just waiting to bleed out? I don't know. It's a weird. I hate to be this way. I hate to be this way about Xbox. I really do. There was a time, 360 era, Xbox One era. That was my go-to console when PlayStation 3 was floundering and PlayStation 4 was had made the comeback. But the two of them, in my house at least, were on equal footing. I played both equally. I made sure to play both equally. Like some franchise, I only played on Xbox. Some franchises, I only played on PlayStation on purpose. So I used both consoles. And now Xbox has beaten me into submission. I don't care.
Yep.
Just whatever I get it for, I get it for.
Yeah, they were like making interesting choices a few years ago, and it's like, okay, they're trying to disrupt the industry with Game Pass or whatever. Here, let's pay attention. It's at least worth paying attention to. It's interesting to talk about on a show like this. Yeah. And it's like, now I'm feeling like, it was all bullshit. It was all just bullshit, and of course it was, because it's Microsoft, so of course it was. All right, so let's finish up the show with a handful more stories here. Simu Liu confirms the Sleeping Dogs movie script is done. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. What a roller coaster for the Sleeping Dogs movie. Basically, all the story is Simu Liu posted a picture of himself on social media with his sleepy dog, I think, holding the Sleepy Dogs movie script. So that was fun to see. Always good to see the Sleepy Dogs get a reference there. I with him like attached to this, that this is the kind of thing that does get a movie made these days. If a star like pushes it through, like we saw what happened with Tron Ares, right? That movie shouldn't have been made. But Jared Leto, whatever, got attached. Is like, I really want to sink my teeth into this role, and everyone knows about Morbius, and yet they still got it through because he was pushing for it. I think Simu Liu can probably do the same thing here with this movie. So I think it's likely we actually do end up getting this, whether it's good, whether it's kind of another more slop added to Amazon Prime Video. I don't know, but I'll be interested to check it out. What do you think?
I hope it's good. The way he's been pushing for it, I would hate for a cool guy like Simu here to have any, not that his reputation would be tarnished, but people would be like, what the hell were you pushing this for if this game was... Now, Sleeping Dogs, sleeper hit. People who played it absolutely loved it. So, and I think there are plenty of places in video games where you could pull a movie script from that people played the game and didn't really, and were into it, but was like a under the radar hit or a cold hit, and then lights the movie world on fire. And this could be one of them. He seems to be very confident in it, and I trust his judgment. But now he needs a director. He needs to put the budget together, and now all the bean counter stuff has to happen, and that's where things can get tripped up. So power to you, pal. I would love to see more video game movies. I would love to see more video game movies based on franchises that don't really see the light of day anymore. If this also results in this game coming back to a new audience, maybe distance yourself from Grand Theft Auto 6 just because they're very similar. But good for him. I hope it works out for him. That's my thing.
Yep, I'm with you, and it's I think that video games right now continue to be like the hot property bucket that Hollywood is pulling from, and I think that will benefit this project specifically. How much longer that lasts, we'll see, but for now, that seems to be the case. That is our next story here as well. Sony's Horizon Zero Dawn movie to begin filming in 2026, targeting a 2027 release. This is PlayStation Productions head Assad Kizilbash basically confirmed this publicly. Hey, yeah, I think this was once supposed to be a TV show with one of the streamers, and then that really wasn't working out. They couldn't get the scripts right, is what people reportedly told me. I always say that I don't follow the internal workings of Hollywood or television production, so I do not have the same ability to suss out what is real and what's not real. I'll just say, yeah, people told me that the scripts were a problem for that show. It sounds like that by shifting it over to a film, they've been able to narrow it down and get something on paper here. Do you think this one actually comes out? I think at this point, I'm still 50-50 on it.
I think it does, because the impetus for it wanting to come out, or the people who want it to come out, the people who are driving for it, are the bean counters. The hard part's over.
Right.
Now you got to find the creatives who want to make it, and that seems, in my opinion, to be a little easier. I do think that this came out because of the lawsuit against Tencent. We have another video game related lawsuit that's just giving us all these extra headlines, just like Epic and Apple did, and all that. I find that fascinating, but I am more, like I said, I am more confident in this one than I am in Sleeping Dogs, just because of where the drive is coming from. Now, I will say that there is a recent example of a feature film being made out of the skeleton of a failed TV series, and it is not a good comparison. That's Moana 2. So I hope they can at least avoid those pitfalls, and the movie comes out and is, good and well received by the people who want it. Otherwise, of the four that are listed here, so The Last of Us has already been adapted from PlayStation Productions for the TV show. Ghost of Tsushima and God of War are next. And then Horizon. Of the three that are still coming, I am most confident in Ghost of Tsushima, because I think Samurai, you're just making a Kurosawa film at that point. God of War, maybe, and now Horizon, just because of this. I don't know about that.
Yep. Yeah. Apparently, it was like always going to be both a TV show and a movie, is what Michael O'Leary in chat was saying. It's okay. So maybe this was always on a different track, separate from that. But I wouldn't be surprised if the effect of one production maybe affecting the others is something that actually happened here. I don't know. TV shows becoming movies. There's a great Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode called Riding with Death, and it was it's a movie. It was a failed TV show where they had the pilot and like one episode filmed, and they might add more than that, but the movie is just 2 episodes smushed together, and it's so obvious to tell when it like stopped being the pilot, where he was like trucking a volatile substance that was like hanging from ropes in the back of a truck across the country, to another episode that was just about racing a car. And it was like, oh, okay, very, very good job here, everybody. We could tell what's going on. Go watch that, everybody. I'm sure it's on YouTube. It's a great episode. All right. I think that does it for the headlines, Jason. We should start getting into wrapping up the show. Of course, there is no poll question from last week, but we do have a new poll question. Let me go. On this scene, Jan. Okay, so let me see here. Let me know when we're back. Okay,
you're
there
back
we go.
now, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Are you interested in one of those DS style handheld emulator devices? I certainly am. I'm kind of waiting for things to settle down, and at the same time, Jason, a few years back when I was like looking at this, I'm like, what's a good way to play my DS games and my 3DS games? And it turned out the answer to that was a 3DS. You just get a real 3DS, and you go to that 3DS hack website, and you go to town on that thing, and you can play both your 3DS and your DS games, and you just do the thing on the 3DS where you hold down the button when you're starting it to start it in DS mode so that the resolution's correct. And when you do that, it's like, oh, this is a perfect experience for that still. So I'm gonna make sure when I get one, it's at least as good as using my 3DS, because otherwise, what am I doing here? But yeah, I'm definitely curious. All right, we'll get the results of that poll and talk about it on Game Mess Mornings on Wednesday. Speaking of Giant Bomb, though, tomorrow's the Giant Bomb cast. We got some fun stuff happening later today. Mega Man. I think we're gonna try to do seventh guest. Things are moving around a little bit, but we'll let you all know what's happening very soon once we have our schedule. In the meantime, though, Jason Fanelli, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all of that good stuff?
JakesFanelli.com on Blue Sky, Big Man Fanelli everywhere else that you can find me. Again, just heads down on the Outer Worlds 2 review, as I mentioned earlier. I am reviewing that for Rolling Stone, so that'll go up at embargo time, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say, so I'm not going to, but soon. Let's just say soon. That is my biggest project at the moment, but always writing news at GameSpot as I can. Just trying to get through to the end of the year, get that nice holiday break. We're almost there. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's small, but it's there. Get to the Game Awards. That'll be the big news, last news thing of the year, and then we'll start 2026 off fresh. Yeah, just living the dream, man. One day at a time. And listen, I am so excited for this Bombathon next week. You freaks, for 24 hours. It's going to be wild. I don't know anything. Don't ask me what they're doing. All I know is I don't need to know, because 24 hours of these goobers. I imagine there will be costumes. I imagine there will be bad games. I imagine there will be good games. And I imagine that Dan Reichert will yell at one point for no reason other than just to hear himself talk, because sometimes he gets loud. I do it too. I completely understand. But no, that's it. And finally, if you're playing the seventh guest, I hope you like chess. That's all I'm going to say.
We've been through it for a few weeks now. We've had multiple chess things, and it's like, it's not even like, there's that game Very Bad Chess. It's not even as good as that. It's like far away from Very Bad Chess or what. Yeah, did I say Very Bad Chess? It's like, oh man, this is rough stuff. But yeah, look, I like that game's vibes, and of course the technology. It was some disappointing puzzles for that one, and yet we still have a good time, everyone. All right, let's wrap it up. Jason, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talk about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Talk to you very soon.
Thank you all for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.